Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Om Ganana Antva Ganapatigam Bhavamahe Kavim Kavinam Upavashravasramam Jeshtarajam Brahmanan Brahmanaspata Anushrunnoti Viseda Sadanam. Om Mahaganadipataye Namaha. Om Keshwaya Namaha, Om Narayana Namaha, Om Madhvaya Namaha, Om Govindaya Namaha, Om Vishnuaya Namaha, Matsudaya Namaha, Trivikramaya Namaha, Vamanaya Namaha, Sridharaya Namaha, Hrishikeshaya Namaha, Padmanabhaya Namaha, Damodaraya Namaha, Sankarshnaya Namaha, Vasudevaya Namaha, Pradyumnaya Namaha, Niruddhaya Namaha, Purushottamaya Namaha, Dokshaya Namaha, Narasimhaya Namaha, Achyutaya Namaha, Janardhanaya Namaha, Upendraya Namaha, Hare Namaha, Sri Krishna, Namaha Sri Krishna. शंभवे नमः विश्वेश्वराय महादेवाय त्र्यंबकाय त्रिपुरांतकाय त्रिकाग्निकालाय कालाग्निरुद्राय नीलकंठाय मृत्युंजयाय सर्वेश्वराय सदाशिवाय श्रीमन्महादेवाय नमः। ओम ऐं ह्रीं क्लीं चामुण्डाय विच्चे। 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 Om Haim Brain Clean Chamundaya Hari Om. Dear friends and devotees, we completed 20 chapters of Devi Bhagavatham until the last session. Present session, we are commencing today the third book or third skandha, chapter 21st. This chapter is fulfilling the desire of his own daughter, King of Kashi, Subahu, is going to fulfill the advice and ambitions of his daughter. Vyasa Maharishi continued to tell the episode to Janamejaya at Hastinapura. On hearing the sound words of his daughter Sashikala, very keen to marry Sudarshana. Subahu, the king of Benares, became very anxious and began to think what he would now, so short space of time in this momentous occasion. Thus, the powerful kings all have come here on intention that they would fight, and therefore they all attended with their armies and followers respectively, and they are now sitting on their respective daises in the Swayamvara hall. If I go now and tell them that my daughter Shashikala is not willing to come here for Swayamvara hall, the evil-minded kings will certainly, they can kill me out of their wrath. This is what he is worried about. I have not so much strength, whether in my army or in force, as to be able to decline these kings and drive them away from my kingdom. Sudarshana too is alone, helpless, wealthless, and a mere boy. What shall I do now? Alas, I am now plunged in deep sorrow. Thinking thus, with head bowed down by humility, the king went to the Subahu, king of Benares, went to the kings and said thus: O kings, the girl, though requested repeatedly by me and her mother, is not willing to come to this hall. What can I do now? I am your servant, and bowing my head at the feet of all of you, pray to you to accept my worship and return to your own cities respectively. I am ready to give sufficient quantity of gems and jewels, clothes, elephants, chariots. Kindly accept these and go back to your own homes. My daughter is as yet a girl. If I chastise her, she may commit herself to suicide, and I will be exceedingly sorry to push her that situation. Therefore, I am very much distressed with this thought. If you're all fortunate, energetic, and a merciful disposition, what will it serve you to accept the daughter of mine who is disobedient and unfortunate? I am your obedient servant. Shew your mercy on me, and it is your duty to consider my daughter as one of your family member. Vyasa Maharishi said, hearing Subahu, the king of Varanasi, words, The kings did not utter a single word. But Yadujit, with his eyes reddened out of wrath, began to address the king of Benares in an angry tone. O King Subahu, you are a veteran fool. What do you say now after committing a most blamable act? Had you any doubt as to your proceedings? Why have you, out of sheer delusion, called this meeting Hall of Swayamvara without thinking the matter beforehand? You have invited the kings and princes in this marriage ceremony of Swayamvara, and they all have assembled here. How can they go back to their homes? Are you going now to insult these? And will you give your daughter in marriage to Sudarshana? Nothing can be more ignorable, nothing more vulnerable than this. The welfare-seeking person ought to judge beforehand and then to act. But you have started your work without any previous judgment and decision. You will have to reap its fruit. There is no doubt about this. Why are you now thinking of giving your daughter to this helpless, wealthless Sudarshana in the presence of the kings that are powerful and command a great military? O thou most sinful, today I will certainly kill you. Next I will kill Sudarshana, and then give your daughter to my daughter's son. Know that this is my firm resolve. Who is there when I am standing in this assembly that can aspire to carry away the bridegroom elect by force or theft? Nothing to speak of Sudarshana, who is powerless, wealthless, and a mere boy. I spared his life before in the hermitage of Bharadwaja Muni's request, but today I will not spare the boy under any circumstances whatsoever. Therefore, please go and consult with your wife and daughter and give your dear beautiful daughter to my daughter's son. Be engaged in a marriage tie with me by giving your exquisitely beautiful daughter to my daughter's son. You can very well judge that it is always proper and advisable that a great man shall come under the protection of another great man. With happiness, what happiness can you expect from this Sudarshana boy who is helpless and banished from his kingdom, that you are going to give him your daughter, dear and auspicious daughter? Family, wealth, army, appearance, kingdoms, forts, and true friends, and other helping persons. These a man should consider when he is giving to give away his daughter in marriage to anybody else. There is no surety of happiness. Think over the royal custom and never failing dharma to do what is proper. Never it is advisable to do any act abandoning the path of dharma and morals. You are my intimate friend, therefore I am telling you these good words. O king, better bring your daughter, surrounded by her attendant maids, in this hall of Swayamvara. Let your daughter select any man other than Sudarshana. I have got no cause of quarrel, and the marriage will then be celebrated according to your will. O best of kings, the other kings are all of high descent, and they have armies, and all in a position befitting your connection. If the daughter chooses anyone amongst them, then there is no quarrels would arise. But if the daughter chooses only Sudarshana, then certainly I will carry her by force. Therefore, O king, act in such a way that no quarrels occur in future. So Vyasa Maharishi continued to say this episode to Janamejaya Raj in Hastinapura, thus addressed by Yudhijit, the king of Benares. Subahu was very sorrowful, and after a heavy sigh went to his palace and told with a grieved heart to his wife, thus, O fair-eyed one, now I am completely under your control. You better explain to Shashikala that a dreadful quarrel is now to occur. What am I to do now? Vyasa Maharishi said. Hearing her husband's words, the queen went to her daughter and spoke thus, O child, quarrels have now ensued amongst the kings for your sake. How your father is become very sorrowful now. Therefore, O fair one, choose any other man as your husband other than Sudarshana. O child, if you do not judge and rashly choose Sudarshana, then the powerful king Yudhijit, possessing a large army, will no doubt kill you, me, and Sudarshana. It might be, if quarrels ensue, you might be married to another husband. Therefore, better think now and act. O dear-eyed, it is now your incumbent duty to choose another king for our husband if you want you and my welfare and happiness. Leave Sudarshana alone. The mother thus advised her daughter. The king too afterwards explained and tried to convince her. The girl spoke fearlessly. O king, what you have said is all true, but you know my firm resolution already. I won't ever select any other king than Sudarshana. O king, if you are afraid and be in agony, then do this thing. Better give me in the marriage to Sudarshana and then drive us away from your city. He will put me in his chariot and go away out of your city. After that, what is inevitable will surely come to pass. There cannot be anything otherwise. O king, you need not fear anything about what is kept in the womb of the future by destiny. What is inevitable will happen. There is no doubt in this. The king said, O child, the intelligent persons never show too much rashness and insolence. The learned people versed in the Vedas say it is never advisable to quarrel with many persons together. How can I give my daughter in marriage to one and then banish them all? The kings have turned out become enemies. There is no heinous crime what they cannot commit now. O child, if it be your opinion, I can pledge something as a pawn for your marriage, as the king Janaka pledged in days of her daughter Sita. The whoever able to use the Shivadanas, then they will give to Sita. That's what he has done, Janaka. I will also put forward a pawn very difficult to be carried out, as Janaka originally made an offer of the hands of Sita to whomsoever who would break the Shiva strong bow. Thus the quarrels amongst the kings might be diminished. For he who will be able to fulfill the promise will be able to accept you. Then, be he Sudarshana or any other king, whoever will be strong to fulfill the promise will take you as his wife. Thus the quarrels will cease, and I will also be able to perform your marriage ceremony in peace and happiness. The daughter said, Father, on hearing from you, I am merged in an ocean of doubt, for it seems to me what you are saying is the act of a fool already. I have chosen in my mind Sudarshana as my husband. Now it cannot be otherwise. O king, the mind is the source of virtue and vice. When I have mentally selected, how can I now forego him and choose another? O king, if you keep any pledge, then I will be subject to any and everybody. If one, two, or more fulfill the same pledge, I will be then subject to any or all of them. Father, in that case, quarrels will arise anyway. What shall I do then? I cannot give my vote on this doubtful point. Oh, Father, you need not fear anything. Better give me in marriage to Sudarshana according to the prescribed rules. Then, in that case, the goddess Chandika, Bhagavati, will certainly protect us because she has guided both Sudarshana and me in my dream that we have to get married. O king, taking whose name destroys a whole host of sins, take her name and think the Almighty and perform carefully our marriage ceremony. Better go to the king's assembly today and with folded hands tell them, come tomorrow to the hall of Swayamvara. Thus bidding goodbye to the kings. Perform in the right spirit according to the prescribed rites. Our marriage ceremony next, after giving fit dowries and other articles after the marriage, better tell the Prince Sudarshana to depart, the son of Dhruvasandhi. Sudarshana is the Dhruvasandhi's first wife's son, will take me away with him. If at this the kings get angry and get ready to quarrel with you, then in that case the goddess Bhagavati will no doubt help us. That is her own uh, thinking. That is Subhahu's daughter's thinking that way. Sudarshana then will fight against those kings, and if he loses his life in the battle, then I will also follow him and die. O king, let all good come unto you. Better give me in marriage to Sudarshana and remain here with your army. I will go alone with him, the object of my love. Vyasa Maharishi continued to say, hearing these words from her daughter, the king Subahu of the Benares trusted her and firmly resolved to act according to her wishes and to celebrate the marriage of Shashikala, that is his daughter. Thus ends the 21st chapter on the king of Benares fulfilling the advice of his daughter in the Sri Mad Devi Bhagavatham of 18,000 verses by Maharshi Veda Vyasa. Now we are stepping into the chapter 22 on Sudarshana's marriage. Vyasa Maharshi said, O king, then the hearing his daughter's words, and that high-souled king of Benares, Subhahu, came to the spot where the kings were staying and said, O kings, now you can go to your own camps. Tomorrow I will perform my daughter's marriage ceremony. Let you all be pleased with me and graciously accept the food and drink given by me. Tomorrow let you all come here and perform my daughter's marriage ceremony. O kings, my daughter is not coming today to this hall, Swayamvara. What can I do? Now I will console her and bring her here tomorrow. Therefore, do you all go back to your own chambers, respectively, tonight. Intelligent persons should not quarrel with the members of their own family, but they should always show kindness. They should always show kindness towards their own sons and daughters who are under the protection. However, I will make my daughter understand and bring her tomorrow morning. You may go all now to your places as you desire. Tomorrow morning we will settle about the pledge, whether by choice or by fulfilling a promise that requires strength and have the marriage celebrated. Or better, you all together would decide what mode of Swayamvara is to be adopted. The kings heard Subahu and trusted him. Then, seeing that the city is well guarded on all sides, they went to their own chambers and performed their midday duties. The king Subahu of Benares on the side began to perform all duties regarding the marriage of his daughter after duly consulting with all the chief members of the family. At the appointed time of marriage, he brought his daughter in a well concealed and guarded chamber, had the bathing ceremony of the bridegroom elect performed by the priest versed in the Vedas, and had him well dressed and did other requisite things. Then he brought the bridegroom in the house, made him a seat on a Vedi platform, and duly worshipped him. Then the large-hearted king gave to the bridegroom Sudarshana a seat, Achamaniya, water for rinsing the mouth, and such articles of food as require rinsing one's mouth after eating them. Argya, articles of worshipping deservedly. Padhyam, example, water for washing the feet with an offer of green grass, rice, etc. Made in worshipping a god or a Brahman. The two silken cloths and sheet, cows and two earrings, and then wanted to give Sudarshana his daughter. The high-minded Sudarshana accepted all the offerings given by the king Subahu. Seeing this, Manorama was relieved of her anxiety. Manorama began to think that beautiful and well-adorned daughter as if the daughter of the Kubera, the god of wealth, and thanked herself and thought as if all her desires were over. Then the royal ministers carried gladly and fearlessly the beautiful Sudarshanas worshipped with ornaments and clothing in a good nice carriage to the center of the amusement court. On the other hand, the elderly female members who knew all about the prescribed rules performed the dressing of the princess and befitting manner and placing her in a beautiful conveyance, took her before the bridegroom elect in the marriage hall, where there was the platform regularly built. The sacred fire was then lit. The royal priest began to perform the Homa ceremony duly. When the amusement ceremony of the bridegroom and bride united in love was duly performed, this priest called them there. After this, the bridegroom and bride performed duty the Laja Homa ceremony and circumambulated the sacred fire. Thus, all the ceremonies befitting the Gotra and family were, were all fully performed according to the prescribed rules as per the Dharma. Then the king Subhahu, excited by feelings of love in the marriage of time, gave to the prince Sudarshana the following presents: well adorned 200 chariots with horses and arrow cases filled with arrows, 125 elephants dressed with golden ornaments looking like so many mountains, 100 beautiful 100 beautiful female elephants and 100 maidservants. The king Subhahu of Kashi gave the bridegroom also 1,000 servants, well adorned, bearing the complete set of all ಒಂದು 20 ನಿಮಿಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತೀನಿ ಈ ಕಡೆ. The king of Benares, Subhahu, the bridegroom also gave King Subhahu gave the bridegroom also 1,000 servants, well adorned, bearing the complete set of all sorts of weapons, many gems and jewels, clothing, nice variegated woolen clothes, beautiful capacious rooms to live in, and 2,000 excellent horses born in the Sindhu country, 300 good camels, able to carry sufficient loads, and 200 carriages filled with grains, etc. Then the king bore to the king's daughter Manorama, and with clasped hands said, O royal daughter, I am now become your servant. Now kindly say, what is your desire? Hearing these beautiful words of the king Subhahu, Manorama, the mother of Sudarshana, said, O king, all good to you, and let your family increase in sons and grandsons. You have increased my honor by giving in marriage your daughter, a jewel of your family, to my son Sudarshana. I have no other desires than to see your welfare constantly and increases in your family, posterity, prosperity, health, wealth, and happiness. O king, you are the chief amongst the kings. You have made my son great and strong, like the Sumeru mountain, by giving him your daughter in marriage. You are high and my related. I am not the daughter of the rich king. How can I then praise you for this noble act of yours? O king, your character is wonderful and pure. What more shall I say to you than this, that you all, in the face of many other kings, have given your daughter to my son in marriage, who is banished from his kingdom, who is deprived of his father, and is living in the forest, penniless, armyless, subsisting himself on roots and fruits only. In these cases, the kings, as a rule, make relations with those only who are their equals in rank and position, of noble families, of equal grade, having forces and wealth equal to each other. No other king would have offered his beautiful, well qualified daughter in marriage to my prince, who is without any wealth. O king, on your this act, all the other kings holding a great influence and possessing armies have turned out your enemies. I, being a woman, am unable to describe the amount of patience in you. The king Subhahu of Benares, hearing the sweet words of Manorama, the mother of Sudarshana, was highly pleased and with folded hands began to say, "O Devi, you better take this celebrated kingdom. I will become the commander of your forces and will try my best to guard this city. Or you can take half of my kingdom and remain here with your son. It is not my desire that you leave this Benares and go and live in the forest." The kings have become very offended. I will first try to appease them. If they be not satisfied, I will adopt the means of gift or showing dissensions amongst them. And even if in that fail, I will ultimately take to war. O Devi, victory or defeat is under the hands of the destiny and Bhagavati, Maya. Still, victory comes to those who are in the right path, and defeat to those who are in the wrong path. How then can the victory arise to those sinful kings? Hearing the king's words, full meaningful of talk, Manorama felt herself highly respected, and then, with a cheerful heart, said the following good words: "O king, let all good come on you. You better discard all fear and reign with your sons here. My son Sudarshana too will become the king of Ayodhya by the grace of Sri Bhagavati Bhuvaneshwari, the supreme cause of the innumerable worlds, and will roam in this world. There is no doubt in this. May Bhagavati Bhavani bring all good into you. Now kindly permit us to depart to our homes. O king, I always contemplate the highest goddess Ambika, and I have no time to indulge in other thoughts." Thus, on various subjects, Manorama and the king Subahu began to talk with each other, causing the satisfaction to both like nectar when the morning broke out. The kings, knowing early in the morning that the princess had been given away in the marriage, became very much enraged and went out of the city and began to discuss with one another. "We will kill today the king Subahu, the disgrace amongst the kings, as well that boy Sudarshana, totally unfit to marry the princess, and take away the kingdom and the princess Shashikala. How can we return to our homes with this severe disgrace stamped on our heads? Hear, O kings, the sound of the drums, mridangas, other instruments, the sound of the conch shells have ever been overpowered. The various musical sounds and the chanting of the Vedas, it is then certain that the king Subahu has concluded the marriage or ceremony of his daughter Shashikala with Sudarshana. Oh, this king has deceived us with his words and performed the marriage ceremony according to the ordinary religious rules. Now, O kings, decide unanimously what to do and come to a definite conclusion." When the kings were thus discussing, the king of Benares, of indomitable prowess, the king Subahu, after finishing his daughter's marriage, came there with his famous friends to invite them. Seeing the king of Benares present, all the other kings did not utter a single word, but they remained silent, beaming with anger. Subahu, the king of Benares, then approached the king's bowed down and with folded hands said, "Be kind enough to come to my house for dinner and bless the bride and bridegroom. O kings, my daughter Shashikala, after all, has selected Sudarshana. I could not help in this. You are all kind and noble. Therefore, you all be peaceful and let the matter drop, because it is a wish of my daughter, and she decided to marry Sudarshana, who is not a king at the present." The kings, hearing him, were filled with rage and said, "We have all taken food, our desires have been fulfilled. You better now go back to your own home. Your behavior with us is all right and proper. Now do your other duties and let the kings go back to their homes." Hearing those words of the king of Benares Subahu was very much terrified and returned home, thinking that the kings were all filled with rage and might have serious harm to him. Thus he began to pass away his time in dire anxiety. Then the king Subha would disappear. The kings united made this resolve that they would block the passage of Sudarshana, kill him, and take the girl away. Some of these kings rather said, "What is the use of killing the king's son? We will all go willingly to see the fun. What is the use of killing the king's son? We will all go willingly to see the fun." Thus the kings went and remained blocking the path of Sudarshana, and the king Vavahu, on returning home, began to make arrangements for the departure of the bridegroom and the bride. Thus ends the 22nd chapter on Sudarshana's marriage in Sri Mad Devi Bhagavatham, 18,000 verses by Maharshi Veda Vyasa. नमोस्तु अनंताय सहस्रमूर्तये सहस्रपादाक्षरपासासुनाम्ने पुरुषाश्रुतये सहस्रकोटियुगधारिणे नमः सहस्रकोटियुगधारिणे नमः आकाशात् परिगम्यतागिर्सागरं सर्वदेव नमस्कारः श्रीकेशं श्रीकेशं परिगत्यो नमः सर्ववेदेषु यत्पुण्यं सर्वतीर्थेषु यत्फलं तत्फलं पुण्यवाप्तिवासनाद् वासुदेवस्य वासन्ते जगत्त्रयं सर्वभूतनिवासोऽसि वासुमृते कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्धात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावा करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि। अम्ब परमेश्वरि अखिलाण्डेश्वरि आदिपराशक्ति पालय मां आदिपराशक्ति पालय मां आदिपराशक्ति पालय मां। ॐ ऐं ह्रीं क्लीं चामुण्डाय विद्महे 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 ॐ ऐं ह्रीं क्लीं चामुण्डाय विद्महे. This ends the 22nd chapter. In the next session, I will read the 23rd chapter.